There's a lot of activities going on now in terms of the Pearl River Delta. We always use the word integration of the Pearl River Delta in terms of doing business and go international. Obviously, it's all across all the industries. And once again, let us make sure we remind ourselves that IT is the enabling technology upon which you can get productivity, you get efficiency, you get differentiation, and you get competitiveness. There's a lot of talk about how this is to be integrated, how we can go hand in hand. A lot of work needs to be done in there. There have been a lot of talk, there have been a lot of activities going on, but I think we really need to somehow be able to translate them into really actions upon which that we can see notable results. I have seen here and there results, but I think both if we talk about Pearl River Delta, that's the Guangdong government and the Hong Kong SAR government, they should actually see whether in fact we can do some innovative thinking of how we can actually translate all these assets into more prevalent successes. I know both governments are working sort of very hard towards this, but they have not been much notable successes. However, there is a movement in the Guangdong province, I think, which would add impetus to this cooperative mode. You would know that I think just a few months ago, the Guangdong government actually has announced that they are going to spend a lot of resources and effort into turning the Guangdong province into a service economy. As you know, that it is still mainly manufacturing based, right? Hong Kong has all kinds of statistics, 80,000 factories, in the Pearl River Delta. I think the Guangdong government, the provincial government, realizes this cyclical phenomena. They have been a low-cost based manufacturing, sort of the world's factory. But as the costs go up, the cost angle might have deteriorated, and then they look at the examples from the developed nations in the West or in Europe, and including Hong Kong, as a location, is that the way is to move up to a service economy, whereby that is sort of the strategy to grow. And I think that since then, I personally have seen, and my colleagues in Hong Kong as well, Hong Kong is getting a lot of invitations to go into the Pearl River Delta, particularly from the service sectors, whether they are IT, whether they are legal, whether they are accounting, whether they're consulting, to go to the Pearl River Delta to provide platforms and forums and new exchanges with regard how does one transform a manufacturing-based economy to a service economy. I think Hong Kong, we have gone through that, right? I mean, we started with light industries, and so we were producing a lot of produce, manufacturing goods for the world, particularly light industries, like toys and plastic flowers, and then we went into the service industry, in transportation, retail, in finance, in consulting. So we have that experience of the transformation, and we have been successful. And so therefore, our Chinese counterparts, in particular Pearl River Delta, are very interested to carry out this mission of this transformation. So therefore, I do see in the future, near and medium future, we can provide a lot of value add to encourage this transformation in Pearl River Delta, and thereby towards economic successes. Those, as I said, we have our strengths, but we will have to ensure that we maintain that strength, and you can never stop still. So I do see that there are a number of actions that Hong Kong should do to maintain that edge and to maintain the leading position such that we can support the Pearl River Delta and thereby as a whole moving international. One is the government should, where relevant, should actually provide focused support. We always talk about level playing field, which is fine, it's fair to all industries, let the market forces, we provide infrastructure, we are a facilitator from the government's perspective. But I think if we look at examples from abroad, in these contemporary days, in the 21st century, sometimes you have to put some focused support in some particular industries or sectors whereby you can leverage its strengths. You can look at the example of like South Korea. The government has really focused in the last 10 years on multimedia technology, on internet provision and of broadbands and Wi-Fi and all that. And you look at, he's now the country with a very good image in terms of internet penetration, the use of innovative technology, support the society and its businesses. Another example would be if you look at Taiwan back in the 80s, the government decided to go into high-tech industries, microelectronics, assembly and manufacturing, PCs and all that. And it's really a lot of government support, and they became a powerhouse in terms of the manufacturing of PCs and electronic equipment. So I do feel that the government should actually look at a few and analyze our strengths and our weaknesses, and how do we leverage the strength in some particular sectors or industries. The government would does respond in the sense that we have a Digital 21 strategy, and it's true, but we have very good infrastructure. I think in terms of our communication, there's no doubt about it. But we need a finer focus in terms of what I talk about the sectors and industries. And secondly, the government talk about a DG21 strategy. They've done a lot of work and all that. But I really would like to see them to have some kind of what I call performance metrics. A strategy in any context, apart from it being qualitative, it should also be quantitative in terms of its performance targets. Like, for example, there are some countries, some economies who actually would say, I have an IT strategy for the industry. I would mandate or plan to have, let's say, within the next 10 years, it would contribute an additional percentage in terms of GDP, an additional percentage or increase in manpower in the IT industry for employment, increase of jobs. So now these are obviously planned targets. Now whether they actually can reach is a separate issue. But the fact that you must have some targets upon which that you can aim for and upon which you can measure. And you look at the DG21 strategy, I don't think you would find these kind of what I call performance metrics in there. All right. In terms of macroeconomics, okay, maybe in terms of technology, infrastructure and all that, but not in terms of macroeconomics. So this is something I would like to do. I would like to see the government. As far as the industry is concerned, there are a number of things the industry could help and should focus upon. One is what I call professional development. We have a lot of talents, but how do you actually brand them? I know. But when you go international, when you go to China, how do you actually present yourself, apart from the interview or so, that you are really good at what you do? So professional development in terms of what we call professional certification is very important. Professional certification, particularly in the high end, like project management, like system architects, like quality assurance. Now these are our strengths. The industry has been doing something about it in the last few years, like the Hong Kong Computer Society, of which I'm very much involved, have already come out with professional certification in some of these high-end areas to start with. System architect, project management, and quality assurance managers. This initiative has been underway for now 18 months, has attracted a fair amount of attention, and senior managers in these areas have applied for such certification. And we are now moving into what we call the medium range of project managers, of assistant or associate project managers, security managers. Now, because we have a very sophisticated and very high level of assessment in terms of the qualities, such that if you are given a certain professional title, then it would be recognized on a global basis. So this is professional development is one upon which the industry is working in the same with the government. The government does provide some sponsorship in this area. And we're also looking for what we call reciprocal recognition. And how do we link with the China professional certification? They are very good at what I call the low end and the medium end. The analysts, the programmers, the associate project managers by examination. But just now when I talk about the high end one, these are you cannot certify a senior guy on using examination, because their expertise lies with their experience. Whether it is a project director, whether it's a system architect. These are assessment not through examination, but through interviews, through by their peers and their seniors, by writing about an essay on the experience, and to be able to test them in the interview. This sort of high-end certification is currently lacking in China. They are mostly, not all, based on examination. So we see very much of a complementariness in terms of how we could have reciprocal, we learn from each other, as well as from terms of reciprocal recognition. And once you have reciprocal recognition, first of all, recognition in its own right is already a good branding for Hong Kong. And based on that, we have reciprocal recognition. Therefore, it would be then the recognition with cross-border. All right, and that means that if you perform consulting assignment or work in China or work abroad, then you don't really have, by having that certified title, then people know that, hey, he's a talent, that he's good. All right.